Kapreece.
Oh, hey. Let me just finish this chapter. Sorry, stop me during homework time. My name is Kapreece Venzor, and this is my last lecture video. Though this is dedicated to my younger brother, I hope you too may learn something of value.
Like any student athlete, I spend my days at school, evenings practicing, nights doing homework, and I wake up bright and early to do it all over again the next day. The life of a student is not an easy one, and I've been a student my entire life. I was born on Saturday, October 18, 2002, to my beautiful mother, who at the time was working as a preschool teacher. 3 months later, my long career as a student first began. I was blessed to have been given such a spectacularly supportive, loving, caring, and overall amazing mother. She single-handedly raised me without the support of a second parent, unlike most parents have, and I would say she did a pretty great job on both my younger brother and I. My brother didn't join our family until I was nearly 9 years old. So for years, it was just my mom and I against the world. The years went by, and as school grew increasingly more rigorous, I learned to rely on my mom's lessons to help bring me through my schooling. Through the teachings implemented in me from my mom, I learned my mottos. My mother taught me to never lose hope, to always try my best, and to always be better than I was before. Though these ideas have been running through my mind for as long as I can recall, my faith in these concepts were never truly tested until my first year of high school. I started long-distance running in 7th grade, but challenges didn't truly arise in my running career until high school. I finished nearly every race in my freshman cross-country season crying and gasping for air. It was later during track season that I was diagnosed with asthma. Medically speaking, asthma is a chronic lung disease that inflames and narrows the air passageways. For those unfamiliar with the way that airways work, air flows into passageways that carry oxygen to your lungs, allowing you to breathe. People affected by asthma have inflamed airways, causing the tubes to grow swollen and inflamed. In addition, the airways can react with certain substances, such as dirt, causing the muscles surrounding the tubes to contract and yet again narrow the air passageway. The swelling can also worsen and restrict airflow. In other words, it's seemingly impossible for someone to run. Statistically speaking, most people with asthma don't do well with high-impact exercise, and looking at the current track team, only 3 of nearly 160 kids in the program have asthma. However, I remained optimistic and continued to run. As the season progressed, I was invited to race at the varsity level, but unfortunately opted to race frosh. Not even 3 days after the race, I landed myself in the emergency room with a soccer-related knee injury, leaving the hospital on crutches, wearing an immobilizing brace. I missed the rest of the season, but slowly recovered. Though I was fully revitalized before cross-country preseason, in the weeks leading up, I struggled to find the motivation to do the smallest tasks. Not running gave me more free time than I had had in years, and left me with far too much time to think. I was depressed and bitter because I felt useless. When I first became injured, I couldn't run, I couldn't walk without assistance, and I couldn't even sit properly. I struggled to find the silver lining in my dark cloud. Being able to run again was my motivation to continue grinding, but running, in itself, is one of the most mentally and physically taxing sports when in shape. Recovering from injury and trying to condition while everyone else was already in shape felt impossible. There were plenty of days when I wanted to give up and stop running because it was so difficult for me to try and keep up, but at the end of each run, I made it. I came close to quitting many times during particularly long runs, but every time the thought of stopping brushed my mind, I thought of everyone who cared about me. My mom, my brother, my stepdad, my friends, my other family, and I knew I couldn't let them down, so I continued to persevere. Not to say that I was met with a personal record every time I ran, but I can honestly say I gave it my best every run. By the end of cross country, I had made varsity, and at our banquet, I was given the Scholar Athlete Award, which was only given to 1 boy and 1 girl per team. While returning to running was difficult both mentally and physically, I hadn't given up, and I'd become better than I had been last year. Thus far in my sophomore season of track, I've run varsity for every league meet and usually finish towards the front for both of my events, the 1600 and the 800. Not to say that my life is all running. In fact, I've taken nearly all honors since 7th grade and usually maintain a 4.0 GPA. Like I said, I've always been a student and recently added athlete to that title.
I said only rainbows after rain, the sun will always come again, and it's a circle, circling around again. It comes around, but you gotta keep your head up, oh, and you can let let your head down. Hey, you gotta keep your head up. Oh, and you can let your head down. Hey.
School is, well, difficult to say the least. I've had plenty of mental breakdowns, panic attacks, and spent nights sobbing into my pillow, praying to God for help. Though there's been plenty of hard times in all aspects of my life, I've, by the grace of God, managed to get through it. No matter where I've found myself in life, God has never let me fall, and He certainly won't let you either. Through the good, the bad, the times of trouble, and the times of joy, He has never abandoned me. One of my favorite Bible verses comes from the book of Psalms, and it says, "The Lord Himself watches over you. The Lord stands beside you as your protective shade. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon at night. The Lord keeps you from all harm and watches over your life." The Lord keeps watch over you as you come and go, both now and forever. And honestly, I can say that the Lord has watched out for me because overall, I've had a pretty great life. While we tend to focus on the what ifs and the mights, the bad things that could happen, we should look back on all the good things that did happen and that are bound to continue occurring. From friends to family, to running, to reading, to getting a good grade in a class, to experiencing new things, to learning something new, to making new friends, to being in good company, to making someone smile, to just finding myself in good health, I've been blessed with a truly good life thus far into my journey. While I remain optimistic that it will stay that way, I can only hope for the best in the future. You may be stuck with the cards dealt to you by life, but it's all about what you manage to do with them before the end of the game. There may be times where you have to draw from the deck or play some cards you don't want to deal with. However, it can be just one small bump in your game. Your best hand may not match someone else's because you can't control other people's lives or decisions, just like they can't control your own, and that's alright. Though we oftentimes forget we sometimes can't help the things that happen to us, I urge you to recognize the difference between things in your control and things that are simply out of reach. While it may be difficult to accept the possibility that things won't always go your way, remember that it's going to be okay, and someday you might even recognize something you learned from that experience. Never forget what you started out with, how far you've come, and how far you'll only continue to go. Where your story began does not have to be where your story ends too. Never lose hope that things will get better, because I guarantee that the sky is the limit if you work hard enough. As it says in Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 8, "Ask, and it shall be given. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone who asketh shall receiveth, and he who seeketh shall findeth. And to him that knocketh, it shall be opened." If you want something enough and work towards that goal, then you are guaranteed to be better off than you had started out. Not every time we make the shot, but every shot you take only increases your chances of getting it in next time. Don't neglect the trials and hardships you've endured, your happiest times, the people who have helped mold you, and the beautifully uncertain road that lies ahead. Live your life to the best of your ability, and don't be afraid to go a little outside your comfort zone at times, because the best things happen in the most unexpected moments of our life.